Well, I was working in Greenway House. The National Trust were taking it over to open it to the public after the death of Agatha Christie's daughter and her husband. And a room at the top of the stairs was full of Agatha Christie's papers, typescripts, letters, playbills, programmes, manuscripts, typescripts. And I found a brown cardboard box at the bottom of a cupboard, and in it were 73 notebooks, the notebooks of Agatha Christie. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, because as a lifelong Agatha Christie fan, I never thought I'd get a glimpse into the creative process of the greatest detective novelist ever. And there I was, kneeling on the floor, surrounded by these notebooks, reading what her intentions were for books that she never got around to writing, the early drafts with different characters' names of famous novels. So I stayed up until all hours the first night I came across them. Well, I think like millions of people the world over, I read Agatha Christie in school and continued to read, and I read a lot of other crime writers, but I always come back to Agatha Christie because she is the greatest detective novelist as distinct from crime novelist that ever wrote. She did it better, longer and more often than anybody else. So to get a glimpse into the creative process that went into these books was more than any fan could hope for. As a unique addition to the book, we're including two previously unpublished Hercule Poirot short stories, The Incident of the Dog's Ball and The Capture of Cerberus. The Dog's Ball incident, its existence has been known for a while. It's been briefly mentioned in both of the authorised biographies, but it has never been published because it was felt that its similarity to the 1937 novel Dumb Witness was too strong. But I felt that was its strength because it showed Agatha Christie able to play a variation on the very same basic situation. I remember it was a Saturday afternoon. I was in Greenway House on my own, and I was reading a brand new Agatha Christie for the first time since 1975 and Poirot's Last Case in Curtain. So I spoke to Matthew, the grandson, and he gave permission for it to be included in the book as probably the very last Hercule Poirot story ever.
You know, we found these two rather sneaked up on us as being something that really was of genuine literary interest for not only for us but hopefully for Agatha Christie fans everywhere. And I think it'll be very exciting for everybody to read them.
You would imagine, when I mentioned to people I'm writing a book about Agatha Christie's notebooks, everyone assumed there's a notebook for Death on the Nile and a notebook for Murder on the Orient Express, but nothing could be further from the truth. They're scattered hither and yon. The biggest surprise for me in working on this book was the fact that even though her novels are precision-tooled instruments, the notes behind them are completely and utterly chaotic. The most difficult aspect, without doubt, of writing the book was deciphering Agatha Christie's handwriting. But what I found was the more I looked at it, the easier it became. And if I left a page aside for a week, 2 weeks, or even a month and went back to it, suddenly it would be a lot clearer. Her brain teemed with ideas. It was a matter of getting them down on paper as fast as she could and then work on them later.
John will tell you it's quite difficult to read the notebooks. I mean, although I'm better than most at interpreting my grandmother's handwriting, I'm ashamed to say that I've relied quite heavily on John's typewritten transcripts, which make them much easier to read.
Well, my favourite tends to change as I read and reread, and over the last year I've read virtually all of the Agatha Christie novels and short stories for the purposes of the book. And I would have said, this time last year I would have said Murder of Roger Ackroyd, ABC Murders, but actually I've now decided, probably for the next 6 months at least, that it's Five Little Pigs because it's her most perfect marriage of the detective novel and the straight novel. She can be read by grandparents or grandchildren. She can be read by an atomic physicist, or as she is by my nephew during his lunch hour. And there are very few writers you can say that about.
And what is so exciting about the appearance of this book and the existence of the notebooks and two virtually new stories is that I think it will add something to that aura and be of great interest to her fans everywhere.